Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Today, I'm talking about why good fleets are awful. Now, this obviously is a sort of mischievous title meant to provoke a little bit of emotion, but I wanted to get your attention because I want to talk about why I would even say something like good fleets are awful, or good fleets are bad, or bad fleets are good, or up is down and black is white, cats and dogs living together in harmony. It's mischievous madness. What am I talking about? Well, first, we are still doing another round of the giveaway, $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos or one of my other videos. It's as simple as that. We are going to announce that one later this month at the end of one of my videos. So make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are watching all the way to the end. Make sure you also like and share the video. Check out the links in the description below. You can jump in our Discord, all that other great stuff. Also, you can head over to Battlefoam. Use code Crabbok VIP. Save yourself 15% off of your orders if you're trying to travel with some foam or Magna racks or any of that cool, amazing cases they have. Those are great for getting on planes, driving to tournaments, driving around, flying, or just storing your stuff safely as well. Very cool stuff over at Battlefoam. So definitely check them out. There's also links in the description below. You can check out all of that great stuff. So what do I mean when I say that good fleets are awful? Well, what is a good fleet? In the context of this video, I would say that a good fleet is one that's designed to win. A competitive fleet designed to win, but not just win most of its game, but designed to win all of its game. A fleet that's designed to kind of mimic the meta and be the answer to all of the threats that are out there, and to shut people down and to win big and kind of win at all costs, I would say. Now, that's a type of strategy that I tend to avoid. I used to play that way. And there's negative consequences to doing that, especially when it comes to new players. And I think in the current state where Armada is sort of a game that's not going to see any more official updates, that at least maybe not for a long time. Who knows what the future might hold. But of course, we have no reason to expect that that's going to change anytime soon. So, in a game that's kind of, it is what it is, and it's going to stay this way. It's important to be, I think, attractive to new players, and also attractive to older players who may still have their collections and want to return. We've seen, a healthy blend of both here in Florida, and it's been really great. And we still have a great community going, and I think. One of those things that help us do really well is the fact that, when people show up to play, we're not trying to absolutely crush them and demolish them and, get 10-1 victories and all of this other stuff. Again, we're playing for the love of the game, for the fun of the game, and not necessarily trying to conquer everybody else and beat them into submission ruthlessly. That could be awful if used out of context. And I think even highly competitive players would agree that it's not always best to bring your biggest, baddest tournament list to casual game night, right? I think that's kind of common sense at this point, but there's more to it than just that. I feel like Armada is in a place where the archetypes of winning have kind of been explored, have kind of already been known. There's certain things that are very effective and very proven, and at the same time, some of those can lead to boring games also. If you're running, a Starhawk or a Farmhawk 134 list, or there's certain types of lists that are designed to just absolutely achieve victory. And even if you run from them, it ends up being a 6-5 and it's boring, and that's kind of become the competitive way to do things. There's certain ways that you have to deal with certain lists that just lead to boring gameplay. And then there's also lists that have very low risk and, that aren't fun for your opponent to play. And that type of mindset when it comes to building good lists that are definitely going to win quickly and make sure your opponent has a bad time are kind of bad, right? They can be a bad if your opponents don't have fun playing anymore, and if you beat them that badly and you consistently do that, then that's definitely bad for the future and long-term health of the game. Now, I'm not saying competitive and and win at all costs type play don't have their place, but I think you have to be selective about when you use them, and also clear it with your opponent. If you're doing like a casual game day and you want to test out a competitive list, make sure your opponent is aware of that first. Because just showing up randomly with stuff like that can kind of be a feels bad for other people. And you kind of need those other people to keep a community going. But there's even more reasons why I might say that good lists are bad. Because one of the things that good lists might not take into consideration is how you're attracting new players to the game. There are a lot of ships that, frankly, don't look that much like they're Star Wars ships to, people generally passing by. A lot of times you're playing in a game store, you're going to attract a lot of attention. And if you want to draw new players in, having flashy ships on the board is a surefire way to have people stop and ask, whoa, what is that? Things like an Imperial Star Destroyer, absolute win. It happens to also be a good ship, so maybe that's not the best example for this. But, a flashy, good ships, Super Star Destroyers always get people's attention. Even though they're not the most tournament-winning type of ship there is, they're fun, and they lead to fun games, and they lead to very attractive games that have people coming by and looking. Also, if you find a certain type of list, like when I've run multiple Architans over and over again, I usually do really well with those. However, it is kind of a boring list to look at because every ship is the same. And I think it looks a little bit more Star Wars-y to have some variety in what you build. And a big part of that is making sure that you have a variety of sizes, maybe large and small, or just kind of a little bit of that. Also, just having stuff that's recognizable, having stuff that's people are going to say, oh, that's Star Wars. They're playing a Star Wars game. Let's go look at that. Not to say that you can't ever, I'm not saying that I don't recommend using ships that don't look Star Warsy, but it is possible to lose sight of the fact that your list should look really cool. I mean, tabletop games is about looking good and looking cool, and that's it's a factor. Maybe it's not the only factor, and maybe it ranks higher or lower with certain people, but it ranks pretty high with me. I think our tabletop games should look awesome, and I love creating a cinematic experience on the tabletop that people want to come by and take photos of, that I want to take photos of, that my opponent wants to take photos of. Let's create those moments with beautiful looking fleets. I think just having epic, beautiful battles is a great way to go. And to conclude this video, I'm going to give you guys a sample that I have been working on for the Republic. And this is going to be something that I am calling basically all gas with no brakes, but I'm going to call it all gas, no B1 brakes. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm going with a Republic list. I'm using Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder. And we're going to start with a Venator 1 as our flagship because a Venator is iconic and it's eye-catching and it's beautiful. And, of course, people are going to love it. We're going to put Obi-Wan on here. And I'm going to try to use every ship that they have in the Republic, which is not a whole lot. Or I'm going to at least try to use some of the most. The most familiar that we have. So I'm going to put the chart officer on here. So this way, if I have to fly, I'm going to have a lot of ships. If I have to fly it into a rock, so be it. Again, this one isn't a super great list, but this one, again, it's not trying to win everything. It's trying to look cool and be a little effective. I'm going to put clone gunners on here. And again, we don't, if I get that, that close range shot with all those black dice, I'm going to want that accuracy. But we're going to put Intensify Firepower. Intensify Firepower is great. It's pretty much the reason to bring a Venator 1. It's a really good thing for the Republic that doesn't have a whole lot of dice fixing. You do have Anakin now, but I prefer Intensify Firepower as it is wonderful and mighty. We have more things to add. We're going to add 2 Peltas. And I'm going to go with the medical frigate. If I have Intensify Firepower, I want as many dice as I can throw as possible, and Peltas has got a little bit better dice profile. I am going to run 2 Peltas, and one of them will have munitions resupply to hand out additional concentrate fire tokens to feed things like our Venator and clone gunners or Intensify Firepower or whatever I need it there for. We will also put out 2 Consular Charger C-70s. Again, we're kind of going a little bit MSU with this one, but again, we're doing a wide variety. We're doing the 4 key Republic ships that were released by Fantasy Flight. at least. I'm not going to put a victory in this one. A little bit less well known to be a Clone Wars ship for the victory. Again, I'm looking for table presence here. I'm going with an Acclamator 2 as this kind of rounds out the Clone Wars ships. It also happens to be a pretty effective ship. It's a good all-around ship. As a matter of fact, I'd say it's a great all-around ship. We're going to give it gunnery teams. We're also going to give it swivel mount batteries, which are going to let this thing be a workhorse for shooting. And since we can then take a black die off the sides and throw that on the front, even at long range, we need some kind of way to maximize that. And we'll go with assault concussion missiles, which brings us up to a sweet 400 points. This does not give us any room for squadrons. And of course, you might want to have squadrons. It's up to you if you want to maybe drop one ship for a couple of squadrons. This way you're kind of demonstrating the game a little bit better. But as I don't like squadrons, I'm not running them. I'm sure my opponent will probably have some. But that's okay. Nobody's perfect, even those who use squadrons. For this one, since I do have a lot of ships, I've got 6, right? I'm going to have opening salvo, a great option for all of that. Since I have no squadrons, I'm going to go with fleet ambush. So this way, I at least get some knowledge on deployment, and I'm not completely hosed when it comes to deployment. And then for our blues, I'm going to put Solar Corona in there, which is always a good one if I'm worried about deployment disadvantage without squadrons. So that's those are, honestly, that's all good objectives when you have a lot of ships and not a lot of squadrons. Those are good ones to go with, and that's what I tend to kind of lean into over and over again. Now, that's just one example. There's plenty more you can do. Lots of ways to have a wide variety of something that looks cool, that's going to be eye-catching. There's a lot of people that really prefer Clone Wars stuff to even Galactic Civil War stuff now, and that's interesting for me. As a man of a certain age, I certainly grew up with the original trilogy, and I lived through the time where a lot of adults didn't like the prequel trilogy, but times have changed, and a lot of people who grew up with the prequels now are shopping in stores and looking at this stuff and getting really interested in it, and it's fun. I mean, look at the opening scene for Episode 3, right? You want to try to create something amazing that people are going to look. If you're playing in a public place, if you're playing in a store, you're playing in your FLGS, you're playing in a library or a game night somewhere, you want to catch people's eyes. And building a super hyper competitive fleet might not always do that. So it's something to think about when you're going out to play in public. Make sure your fleets look awesome, and or at least do your best. Right? That's my suggestion to you. Again, if you're trying to attract attention, you're trying to draw people into the game, get them asking questions, be friendly. They ask to take photos, talk with them, all that good stuff. All great things. Keep it going, and keep sharing your photos online. We have the social media. You can Instagram it, Facebook it, TikTok it, Discord it, do all that stuff. Keep it going, because it's a beautiful game, and it's wonderful to play, and it's wonderful to share, and it's great to see people taking an interest in it, and it photographs really well. That's a beautiful thing about Star Wars Armada. And that's my video for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for continuing to hang out with me as I go on this journey of tabletop games, as I continue to revisit classics and discover new games. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are out of this world and help make this whole channel possible. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. The spice must flow. And always wash your socks.